What's going on? This is Chad with Infidel Body Armor. I'm going to give you 5 techniques that'll improve your marksmanship. Number 1 is the stance. A lot of times we see people out at the range and they are leaning back. They're trying to balance themselves out, leaning back. What needs to happen? Well, first of all, the reason why that's bad is you're out of balance. And then when you have recoil, you're going to have a hard time managing it and getting back on target as quickly as possible. So the correct stance for what we're talking about is you want to have what they call nose over toes. So you want an aggressive stance. You want to be leaning slightly forward, prepared to manage that recoil. Now, a lot of people have changed stances over the years. What the professionals have recommended, for anywhere from isosceles to Weaver, it used to be this was the way to go, this was the way to go. The correct stance for training and engaging, ideally, you know, we can't always pick our battles, but if you have both feet pointed relatively toward your target, shoulder width apart, leaning slightly forward, aggressive stance, and this way you can engage what's straight on. I can also shift to the left or to the right just fine and engage my targets. If I was to have, say for instance, my right foot forward and locking my right arm with my left arm slightly bent, like a lot of people teach, you have a hard time getting all the way over to the left. I can cover the right just fine, but I can't get over to the left. Change that back where both my feet are pointing forward. I can engage 180 degrees without having any problem, just pivoting with my hips. All right, so that's it for stance. Number 2, finger placement. You want your finger on the trigger in the right spot. So if you've got too much meat on your trigger, you're gonna pull to the right. That's what's gonna happen. When you pull that finger in, it's gonna pull that rifle or the pistol. It's more noticeable on pistol. It's gonna pull it to the right. If you put just the tip of your finger on there, like a lot of people do, what'll happen is you'll end up pushing the gun to the left. When you pull in, it'll actually push to the left. So the ideal thing is to put your trigger right on the pad of your finger and then pull back straight. If you're consistently doing this, dry fire drills, you'll know exactly where you should be putting your finger on the trigger every single time. Number 3 is follow through. Okay, so follow through is you've made your shot, and what you need to do is not get your finger out immediately. So a lot of times this will be the drill. Take one shot and then holster. So this is what the students will do. They'll take one shot and immediately get that finger out of the frame of the trigger and then holster. The correct way to do it would be to take that shot, hold the trigger to the back of it, reset, so you hear the click, and reacquire the target. Then take your finger out of the frame take your finger out of the trigger frame. So again, follow through. Pull the rear, reset your trigger, reacquire target in case that guy needs to have another round put into him, and then take your finger off the trigger, scan, and holster slowly. Okay, number 4, flinch. So this is what happens when you're taking a shot. A lot of times people will be anticipating the bang. They'll be anticipating the recoil, and it scares them. Even big guys, it'll still scare them. They try to think that somehow they can stop the gun from recoiling, and it's not going to happen. So what it looks like is people will be pushing forward, and what it results in is typically low shots, significantly low shots. They think they're anticipating when that trigger is going to break and when the round is going to go, and they'll push forward. So there's a couple things you can do to practice. One of the best things is to get a snap cap, or you can use this technique at the end of this video to make your own snap caps. And what you'll do is you put a round in, mix it somewhere into your magazine so you don't know when it's going to happen, and then when you're shooting, and you'll get to that dead round. If you go down, you'll know that you have that flinching problem and you need to work on that. What it should look like is just a straight click without any sort of movement off your sights and the target. Okay, the last thing is finger along the frame of the gun. So a lot of times I'll see people, they finish taking their shot and then they'll just keep their finger on the trigger and walk around like this. Maybe they're not even touching the trigger, but it's just inside the frame of the pistol or the rifle. That's not the correct thing to do. If you're on target, your finger should be on the trigger. If you're not on target, your finger should be along the outside of the frame of the gun. So again, I'm not putting my finger on the trigger until I've acquired my target and my muzzle is pointed in the direction of the target. Now I take the shot, I've reset, I've reacquired, now my finger's coming off and I've scanned. All right, so that wraps it up. There's 5 techniques to improve your marksmanship. Check out the next little segment on how to make your own snap caps. This is Chad with Infidel Body Armor. We'll see you next time. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to make your own snap cap round. So you've got to use some common sense here. If you don't feel comfortable, don't do it. But here's what I do. Pull the bullet out of a cartridge and then empty the gunpowder out of that cartridge and just throw it away. You're not going to use that same cartridge because it still has the primer in it. So what you want to get is a shell that has already been shot. This is a different shell. Put a shell that's already been shot and then put that bullet that you pulled out of the other shell back in. It doesn't take a lot of force to get it out. Regular pliers will work. You don't even need a giant vise. This will work great if you don't have reloading equipment. If you do, then you already know how to do this, and I'm wasting my breath. But here's how you do it. We just made an effective snap cap round, and so what I like to do is mark mine with a permanent marker so that I can distinguish it from a regular round. So when I'm mixing it into my anyway, so when it's spent, I can pick it up and I know that this is my snap cap round. And here you can see side by side we've got the snap cap round and the regular round. All right, that's it, guys. Use your common sense, go out there and train. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.